Hi scholars, welcome back to Primer's Classroom. So today we want to solve questions on all of the things we have talked about on cell and its environment. So quickly, I've sent all of these questions online to solve, and we want to do the solutions and the corrections now. So if you're here to watch the video on cell and its environment, please make sure you do before moving ahead with this class so that you can follow us through with the questions we're about to solve. So let's look at question 1. This is your JAMB pass question. So try and get Primax JAMB pass question. You can order for it, call the number below, so I'll send it to you wherever you are, or our people will send it to you wherever you are, so you can follow the question through as we are solving them. So a Spirogyra cell was placed in solution X. After 1 minute, the cell had been plasmolysed. Solution X was... Now, remember I talked about hypertonic, hypotonic, and isotonic solution. So if this cell was placed in a solution X and it has now been plasmolysed, that means that for it to have been plasmolysed, it must have been losing water to the environment by osmosis. Now, the environment must have been hypertonic to the solution of the cell. And when the environment is hypertonic, what did we say? That means that it is more concentrated in salt than the cell. So it loses water to the environment. So the answer is going to be A, tap water; B, a very strong sugar solution; C, a weak sugar solution; D, a very weak salt solution; E, distilled water. Now, if you look at the options carefully, even if you don't know the answer, one says that a weak sugar solution, a very weak salt solution. If both of them are weak, same thing will happen for the organism. So that means that weak cannot be the answer. She gets, even if you can't really remember what plasmolysis is. But don't forget, plasmolysis means shrinkage of the plant cell. So the answer is B, a very strong sugar solution. Number 2, the movement of molecules from a region of higher concentration to one of lower concentration is what? Diffusion. So when molecules move from a region of higher concentration to that of lower concentration, that is called diffusion. Number 3, a fresh kola nut weighing 1.9 gram was put into salt solution. After 3 hours, the kola nut weighed 1.2 gram. It was 1.9 gram, but when you now placed it in salt solution, it now weighs 1.2 gram. What has happened? That means it must have lost water. Do you get that? It was 1.9 gram, but now it is 1.2 gram, so it must have lost water. So this simple experiment demonstrates that A, for it to lose water, that means the environment must have been more salty than the organism. So A, the salt solution is more concentrated than the cell sap of the kola nut. B, it's lost water, so that means the environment is more salty. The salt solution is more concentrated. I think that's the answer, but let's move on. B, the cell sap of the kola nut is more concentrated. If it's more concentrated, it would have taken water, then it would have grown more. You know, it moves from 1.9 to 1.2. That's decrease in water, so it has lost water. C, the salt solution has the same concentration as the cell sap. That means it's isotonic. That's wrong. It wouldn't have lost water if it is isotonic. D, kola nut cells can multiply in water. That's out of the option. The kola nut lost some water molecules to the salt solution. The kola nut lost some water molecules to the salt solution. The salt solution is more concentrated than the cell sap of the kola nut. So the answer is option A. The kola nut, the salt solution is more concentrated than the cell sap of the kola nut. Option A. So number 4, the filaments of Spirogyra were put into equal volumes of sugar solution. So you take Spirogyra, so you put it in equal volumes of sugar solution. After 5 minutes, filaments from X solution had their cell contents rounded up, shrinked, while those from Y were unaffected. What could have happened? You place filaments of Spirogyra in X and Y, which is of equal volumes. They now said that X shrinked, but Y was unaffected. What happens? What does the experiment show? For X to have shrinked, that means that the salt concentration, the sugar concentration must have been more than that of X, but that of Y, and that means that that of Y must have balanced that environment. She gets, so nothing will affect that of Y. So if that of the sugar solution is more than that of X, that means that that of Y2 will be more than that of X. So A, solution X was stronger than that of Y. If it's stronger than that of Y, it will absorb water. So that's not the answer. B, solution Y was stronger than that of X. Yes, X was stronger than that of X. I mean, Y was stronger than that of X, and that's why X has to lose water to the environment. Do you understand that? So now, number 5. If an isolated living cell is left in distilled water for 2 hours, it is likely to. An isolated living cell is left in distilled water for 2 hours. A living cell, you leave it in water for good 2 hours. A, it will lose some of its water to the surrounding water. It's not possible. It can't lose some of its water. You know, it's in distilled water. And the cell, that means if it's distilled water means that no salt concentration. And that means that the salt concentration of the cell would have been more. What do you now think that means? So A, lose some of its water to the surrounding. B, lose all of its water to the surrounding water. C, reproduce by binary fission, become turgid, die due to excess water. So it's going to take in excess water, yes. So number 6, which of the following will not allow osmosis to take place? You remember when we talked about osmosis, we said it requires semi-permeable membrane. So which of them will not act as a semi-permeable membrane is what this question is asking. A, pig's bladder. B, cellophane. C, parchment paper. D, transparent polythene. C, E, cow's bladder. Bladder, I told you, with cellophane, I gave you as an example in the class. Parchment paper, but transparent polythene, that's like a nylon, a leather that will not allow water to pass through it at all. So the answer is transparent polythene. Water cannot pass through it, so it cannot act as a semi-permeable membrane. Number 8, when a spirogyra cell is immersed. Number 7, when a spirogyra cell is immersed in a salt solution more concentrated than its cell sap, what will happen? It is placed in a salt solution that is more concentrated, and it's going to lose water. It's going to plasmolyze, so it will lose water and shrivel. So the answer is D. Number 9, osmosis can be defined as the movement of what? It is defined as the movement of water molecules from a region of lower concentration to a region of higher concentration across a semi-permeable membrane. So A, molecules from solution of high concentration to low concentration, that's wrong. B, molecules from solution of low concentration to high concentration, that's correct. But let's move on, because you have to be careful with biology. Look at all of the options. Don't rush before you pick your answer. C, water from solution of high concentration to low concentration. D, water across a semi-permeable membrane from solution of low concentration to high concentration. D. E, water across. So you can see the best answer here is D. Movement of water molecules from a solution of low concentration of salt to a high concentration across a semi-permeable membrane. That's a complete definition of osmosis. So the answer is D. The last one is not correct. So 10, mineral salt can be absorbed into the roots by what? Mineral salt. Now note something. A, osmosis. B, osmosis and diffusion. C, diffusion and active transport. D, diffusion only. When I was explaining in the class, I told you something that active transport requires energy. When you are moving something from where it is more to when you are moving something from where it is less to where it is more, and you are going to need energy to move it across such gradient, against such gradient. Now, the salt concentration in the roots. When I explained active transport, I said active transport is the movement of molecules from where it is less to where it is more. So meaning that will not take place normally. It's supposed to move from where it is more to where it is less. Now, ions of the roots, they have more salt than the soil. So the salt will still move from the soil to the roots by active transport. But sometimes the environment the plant found itself, the salt concentration, the ions might be more in the soil than the roots, and if it will move from that soil to the roots, it will move by diffusion. So the best answer to pick here is both diffusion and active transport. That's the best answer. So next question. After 30 minutes, the level of sugar solution, there's a diagram there. You can see we have diagram X and Y. At Y, it has a strong sugar solution. X has a weak sugar solution. So after 30 minutes, the level of sugar solution in the above will do what? What will happen to the level of sugar solution in X and Y? You know, where the sugar solution is more, water will move across the membrane to where it is more from where it is low, and it is low in X. So when water start moving from X to Y, what will happen? The water will rise up in Y. So that means that A, rises in X only is not possible. B, rise in Y only, yes, but go through the options first. They can say rise in Y and drop in X. That would be more correct than just rise in Y only. C, be the same in X and Y, no. Fall in Y, no. So the best answer is rise in Y. Next question. The process by which water molecules move from X to Y through the semi-permeable membrane is called what? Osmosis. 13. The process by which a red blood cell placed in a distilled water absorbs until it bursts. So the bursting of red blood cell, I already talked about it, is what? Hemolysis. I explained it in the class. Salt and water are absorbed in the roots and transported to the leaves. Salt and water. Water is usually transported by xylem. Xylem is the vessel that transports water from the roots to the leaves. So don't forget. And the transport of water takes place by osmosis. So salt and water are absorbed in the roots and transported to the leaves by A, diffusion through the xylem vessels, no. B, osmosis through the phloem, no. C, diffusion through the phloem tissues, no. D, osmosis through the xylem tissues, yes. So salt and water moves by osmosis through the xylem vessels. So the water continues to move by capillary actions, and we are still going to talk about all of these things. So now 15. When a marine fish was taken from the ocean and put in a tank of fresh water, note something. I said it in the class. Ocean has higher salt than fresh water. So when you now take a marine fish, that means from the ocean, and you now place it in fresh water, something that has already adapted to the salty environment, you now place it in a place of lead salt. What will happen to such fish? A, the tank was too small. Okay, the question says that when a marine fish was taken from the ocean and put in a fresh water, it died after a short period because A, the tank was too small compared to the large ocean. Is that a reason? B, the body cells of the fish swelled and burst as a result of the hypotonic fresh water. Will it burst? You know, if the fresh water is hypotonic, then yes, it should actually take water from the hypotonic solution because it's less salt. So it will go from where there is less salt. Water will go from where there is less salt to where there is more salt. So B is most likely going to be the answer. C, the body cells of the fish shrank as their cell was hypertonic. No, it cannot shrink. It's going to burst because it's going to take in more water into its system because the salt in the body is more, in the cell is more than the salt in the environment. So it takes in more water, then it will swell and burst. And that's why the fish died. Number 16. In the experiments, yam is used in this setup because of what? Because yam can act as a semi-permeable membrane. So that's why we use yam in the setup. Number 17. Which of the results will be expected if the setup is left for several hours? If it's left for several hours, decrease in the size of the yam, movement of the salt solution into the water, decrease in the volume of water inside the yam, movements of water from the salt solution into the yam. Because the environment is more salty than that of the yam, so water will move from the yam to the body, so there will be to the water. So that means there will be decrease in the volume of water inside the yam. 18. What will happen when two equal sized pieces of unripe pawpaw labeled X and Y are dropped into equal volumes of concentrated salt solution and distilled water respectively? So one is in salt concentration and one is in distilled water. What do you think will happen? A, pawpaw X will become turgid. B, both will increase in size. C, pawpaw Y will become turgid. D, both will decrease in size. Both cannot increase in size, but let's look at what will happen. So X is in salt concentration, so it will reduce. So X is supposed to lose water because it is highly concentrated, the environment is concentrated, so it's supposed to lose water. Then X is supposed to shrink. Y is supposed to gain water from distilled water, so Y is supposed to become turgid or increase in size. So the answer is C. Y will become turgid because it will take water from that distilled water, because the environment of the yam will be more salty than the environment of the water. I hope you're following. Let's solve two more, then I'll give you more questions to solve. A marine protozoan is likely to have no contractile vacuole mainly because the cytoplasm is A, isotonic to the water, B, hypotonic to the water, C, hypertonic to the water, to the seawater, D, impervious to seawater. Now, if you take protozoan and they are now saying that the protozoan does not need contractile vacuole, do you know the function of contractile vacuole? To help regulate water. When water comes in out of the cell, the contractile vacuole will take the water and pump it out again, so that it keeps regulating the amount of water that keeps coming in and out. Now, but they now said it does not need contractile vacuole. If it's not needing contractile vacuole, that means the environment and the cell of the organism is balanced. So the environment must have been isotonic to the cell. So 20. Which of the following can cause shrinkage of cells, of living cells? Shrinkage. For it to shrink, that means the solution must have been hypertonic. When you place it in an hypertonic solution, it's going to lose water, then it's going to shrink. So thank you so much. So these are all the questions we're going to solve. Please practice the class and practice all of these questions, and make sure you leave comments in the section below. Solve all of these uploaded questions and leave your own answers. What do you think the answer is in the comment section? Then I will reply you with the right answers. That shows you have understood the class. So we are through with cells, theories, functions, components. We have done cells and its environment. So in that, we'll be moving on to classification of living organisms, where we talk about all the kingdoms and the phylums, kingdom Monera, protistas, fungi, and others. So I'll see you in the next episode. God bless you. Don't forget to subscribe if you're yet to subscribe. I love you so much.